things I wish I knew when I started to study English that I want to share with you today. If you don't know me very well, hi, I'm Teacher Prix, and I'm going to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. Make sure to subscribe to the channel because there's always a different kind of English lesson to help you on your journey to English fluency. Now, 3 things I wish I knew. Now, guys, mistakes are inevitable. We all make mistakes, okay? Now, when I started my journey to fluency, there were many good moments and difficult moments, and I imagine you probably went through the same. Now, today I'm going to share 3 things that I believe that if you knew, you would be much better off today, okay? And I understood these things right at the beginning of my journey, and that was really helpful. So maybe that is going to help you today, okay? Now, that being said, number 1, translating songs will not make me more fluent. Do you like translating songs? You pick the lyrics and you start translating the lyrics. Oh, okay, so she said this. Okay. I love music. And I know that is a very common practice to translate song lyrics to study English. And many students think they're going to be more fluent, you know, they're going to know more vocabulary, that is going to help with comprehension, with listening comprehension. But in reality, you're going to get more stuck. Okay, you're gonna slow down. And when I started my journey, I was obsessed with lyrics and I wanted to know exactly what each word meant. Fortunately, I had a teacher who noticed this, okay? He was not even my teacher. He noticed this one day because I was going to the school and I was translating this thing right when I started. And he noticed this habit and he said, "How long have you been doing this?" And I was, for 2-3 months. That's when he told me, "Stop right now. Thank you very much." He told me, "Stop doing this. This is not going to help you." And then I asked, why? Why? Because, you know, I want to know what the songs mean. I want to know the translation of the songs. And then he explained that translation, and nowadays I understand much more than when he told me that. Translation slows you down. And when you advance, he was more worried about my advanced level than my beginning level. He said that, and I agree because I teach this, I've been teaching this for a long time. When you advance, you know, when you go to an intermediate level, advanced level, fluent level, like upper intermediate, a lot of advanced words and expressions and idioms and phrasal verbs and nouns, they don't necessarily have a direct translation, only an explanation. And in conversations, if you catch yourself, if when you study, all you do is translate, by the time you have to speak, you're going to have the same behavior. The only difference is you don't have time. So your brain will want to translate. Oh, how do you say that in my language? How do I say this from my language to English? So you need to condition your brain since the beginning to be in more contact with the English language. Okay, so instead, what he wanted me to do, what I started doing instead was to focus on understanding general ideas. I stopped with the stress and obsession of, oh, I have to understand every single word, because in many cases, getting all the words will not help you understand. Conversely, when you try to get the main ideas, general ideas of the verses of the songs, that's when you get the story behind the song. Not all songs have stories, but many do. And there is one website that you can use to help you with that. When I was doing this, I didn't really have a website to help me. I analyzed the lyrics, I analyzed the verses, I tried to write some short explanations. Oh, I think he's trying to say this, he's trying to say that. But nowadays there are websites that do that for you. I like using Genius. Genius.com. And if you like music, of course, okay? But I know that this is a common habit. You can use Genius to help you with better explanations to songs and even interpretations, okay? Sometimes it's an explanation, sometimes it's a personal interpretation. Many people get to participate, okay? I think it's like an open website. And this is much better, guys. This is going to help you think faster because you will always be connected to the English language. You're not going to translate anymore. As you can see the screenshot here, I think this is a Lady Gaga song, Abracadabra, Abracadabra. And as you tap or click on each verse, you have an explanation next to it, okay? And you even get comments from people who access the website to agree, disagree, or share their understanding of that verse. And this is a much better experience because it completely eliminates translation and it focuses on contextualization that will help you the more you advance, okay? Oh, but Priscilla, what if there is one word I don't know and I really want to know? Okay, you can search for that word in English. If you can't understand the explanation, then okay, you can check the translation. But this is a much better practice. And many students start their journey translating a lot of songs or texts. They find articles on the internet and they translate everything. And then by the time they get to an intermediate level, they think too slowly. They don't understand explanations of words, of verbs, of adverbs. They just feel the need to have the translation all the time. And what happens in communication? You get stuck. So, avoid that, okay? I know it's going to help you become more productive and efficient when speaking English. Moving on. Mistakes are clues. Clues. They are not the enemy. Oh, man. I have to be super duper honest here, okay? When I started my journey, whenever I made a mistake, I felt so disappointed in myself. Totally disappointed. Sometimes I even cried. I can't. I have to be honest, okay? And the more that happened to me, the more I made mistakes and I felt bad and annoyed, the more I believed that I couldn't learn. To the point that I quit. I stopped studying. The first time I tried to learn English, I studied for 10 months. And then I was so negative, I was so sad because of the mistakes that I made, that I decided to stop. I told my parents, hey, you know what? This is not for me. English is too difficult. I make too many mistakes. I don't understand anything. I'm not improving. So no, I will not study English anymore because it's not working for me. I make too many mistakes. And guys, this is so negative because mistakes are inevitable. We can't change that. And we need to understand, we need to change our connection with mistakes. We need to see them as clues. They are showing us something we can change, something we can work on. And when I decided to see my mistakes that way, things began to change. So as I said, learning to deal, as I always say, learning to deal with mistakes is essential if you want to build up your fluency and confidence. So many people send me messages and emails and comments, Priscilla, how can I become more confident? How can I feel good about speaking English and not feel insecure about my abilities, about my mistakes? First, understand that mistakes serve a purpose. They are clues. Therefore, whenever you make a mistake, take note, work on that particular mistake. One thing that I always tell my students in my academy is you have to be more persistent than your persistent mistakes. Because I know mistakes are persistent, preposition mistakes, conjugation mistakes. I know you know simple present. Of course, I believe you. But why do you make so many simple present mistakes? Because they are persistent. They are giving you a clue that, hey, you need to be more persistent. You need to study simple present more, even though it is very basic. That's our first thought. But my God, that is like lesson 1 when you're learning English. What is wrong with me? Nothing. Mistakes are clues. And you have to be more persistent. Even myself, as a teacher, I go back to the most basic subjects. Why? Because I have to keep track of my practice and be more persistent than persistent mistakes. So change your relationship with mistakes. They are giving you signs. If you are at a meeting and your boss corrects your pronunciation, oh, hey, this was not so clear. Can you say this again? Don't take it personal. It's a clue, okay? So the next time you study, target that pronunciation mistake. That's what you gotta be. That's the attitude of fluent people. That's much more positive. And speaking of positive, hey, make sure to hit the like button. That really helps the channel. And if possible, share this video with more people. I know that when we are starting the journey, and even when we continue with the journey, we may be worried about, are we doing the wrong thing? Are we doing the right thing? And if you're watching this video, you're probably at an intermediate, pre-intermediate level, and you may be lacking guidance. And I know there are many people out there who need to watch this lesson. So you really support by sharing, okay? Now, moving on. 3, simply copying explanations out of textbooks does not mean I understand the lesson. Ooh, man, I was a copying machine. I write very quickly. I wrote a lot, okay? But one thing I started to understand, this was later on, okay? This was a strategy that I implemented later on, but very early on in my journey, was that just writing down the explanations doesn't mean you understand the lesson. Sometimes people come here and they say, but Priscilla, I write everything down. I copy the explanation from the book, from the grammar book. I write down the definition from the dictionary, but I don't understand what is going on. Well, exactly. Writing things down, everything word by word, doesn't equal comprehension, okay? That is not going to show you how much you understand. This is not how you test how much you understand. The next step you have to follow, which I'm going to tell you, will be much more efficient to test your ability, to test if you understood the information or not, which is to learn a lesson, I must use it. It is more efficient to write short explanations while using your own words, okay, than writing everything down, copying the exact explanations from the textbook. So here's a practical example. Let's say you're studying comparatives, more than, less than, okay, comparatives. And you saw all the explanations from the book. Or maybe you were watching a video and you saw my slides with all the explanations. Okay, I'm gonna copy everything. That is not as productive. Watch the lesson, pause the lesson, then test yourself. What is that? What is a comparative? What is the difference between more than? How can I use my words to explain instead of copying the definitions from the teacher? This will be more work. This will make you think more, but this will help you retain more information, memorize more, because you're using your own words. You're forcing your brain to create sentences, to explain something. You become the teacher, okay? Another important step, because I don't stop there. Okay, so I wrote a short explanation. You don't have to complicate it, okay? I wrote a short explanation of what a comparative is and, how to compare information. Okay, what do I do next? Now I'm going to write 3 to 5 examples using the grammar I studied, okay? So let's say, go back to the comparatives. I watched comparatives, then I wrote a short explanation about what I remember. What is the next thing I have to do? Now you have to use the grammar, because if you stop there and you just do the book exercises, your retention goes down. But if you look around your room and you find things to describe and you find things to compare, then you will test your brain. You will test whether you understood the lesson or not, okay? And this, if you do this from early on, that's much better. Oh my God. This is what I do with my babies, my students in my academy. Every time I'm teaching them a lesson, their next job is to create an example. They have to create examples, because this is the only way you will know if you understood the lesson, if you can use it. To learn a lesson, I must use it. So this would be a much more productive way to test if you understood a lesson or not. Guys, these are the 3 things I wish I knew when I started to study English, and now you know. So make sure to share it with a friend. Other than that, my friends, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!